throw away because I don't want my family tracking this back to my main. My sister got knocked up by her boyfriend right out of high school, got married the next year, then proceeded to pop out another baby every year or two, so she has 4 now at 24. She's a stay-at-home mom even though she was brilliant and could have gotten a free ride to a great university. Since hers are the only grandkids, our parents fawn over her like she's the next coming of Christ. They gush over every new tooth or haircut like it's some huge achievement. Problem is, her husband's business wasn't great even before COVID, and is barely limping along now. Sister doesn't work, and my parents have limited income. So guess who's constantly being told to lend them money for shit like school fees, car seat, car payment, new stroller, etc. They don't even ask. My mom just texts me your sister needs $X20 for the kids and I'm supposed to cough up. If I complain, they accuse me of being jealous because I don't have a husband and family even though I'm older, I'm only 26. So over Easter I notice my sister isn't drinking and I think, oh God, here we go again. Sure enough, she stands up and announces that she's been inseminated with yet another precious miracle. Everyone's gushing and I just try to stay quiet and out of the way. Later she asks me if everything's alright and I try to play it off but she pushes, so I asked her if she and her husband could really afford another baby. She very snippily replies God will provide like he has so far, which really pissed me off. I yelled that no, actually God didn't provide for her babies, I did, and I wasn't going to giving them any more handouts. It devolved into a big argument with everyone shouting at me, and basically I've been banned from my family unless I apologize. I haven't apologized. It's been radio silence except for one text from my mom saying that if my sister miscarries it's my fault for stressing her out. I asked if my sister was showing any symptoms but no one will answer or tell me. IDK. I don't think I'm TA but I don't want to be the reason she miscarries. Also, I think I might be TA because secretly I think it would be better if she did even though I wouldn't say that to her. My daughter is 12, I'm trying to teach her ways of creating and respecting her boundaries that are age appropriate. Teaching her that it's okay to say no to things she feels uncomfortable with. There is a boy in her class who keeps bothering her and her female friends at recess. I've encouraged her to go to me or her teacher when this happens. My daughter told me a few days ago that in class, the teacher had asked the kids to form groups of about 4 or 5. She had formed a group of 5 with some other girls, then the boy who had been giving her trouble at recess came over and said he was joining their group. Another girl said that they already have 5, and he should work with a group who only have 2 or 3 people. He said no because the teacher had said about 4 or 5. My daughter then said that they didn't want to work with him, and he should find another group. A few of the other girls agreed with her. He said that you can't exclude me like that, it's against class rules, and she said she didn't care. I heard about this from my daughter first, and the way she talked about it, she had been firm but not unkind. But then I got an email from her teacher saying she wanted to call. She said there had been an incident at school where my daughter had excluded another child, and that wasn't allowed in her class, and she wanted me to have a talk with her about it. Her telling of events was the same as my daughter's. I felt proud of my daughter for her honesty. I sent her an email saying, "Dear Mrs. Teacher, I'm sorry, but that is not a lesson I feel comfortable teaching my daughter. She's at the age where she is already having to deal with unwanted attention, and I'm making a point to teach her that she does not have to be around anyone who makes her uncomfortable. And that a young lady is able to choose to spend time with people who make her feel respected. I understand you already are aware, boy has been behaving in ways that she feels uncomfortable with at recess, from our prior conversations. I think it is a very dangerous lesson to teach a girl she has to include and be kind to everyone, instead of teaching her to be aware of when someone is not respecting her no and stepping out of the situation. I hope I don't have to explain in too much detail why I find this important. But to put it briefly, I was brought up with the include everyone mindset. No exceptions. It taught me to ignore my own comfort level, and as I became a young adult I became the victim of men who use my inability to say no to their advantage. It's a dangerous lesson, and no longer appropriate at that age. Thank you. Op. She emailed me back asking for a meeting in person with the principal. I'm preparing for that but wondering if my email was too harsh. Ada for my response to my daughter's teacher. Ada to update. I reached out to the parents of the other 4 girls in the class who were involved, and we all coordinated to go speak to the school administration together. They had similar views, thinking it was inappropriate for the school to expect the girls work with someone who they're not comfortable with, and frustrated the teacher didn't do more to deal with the issues during recess that made the girls uncomfortable to start with. I ended up asking the school if we could reschedule the meeting to a time all the involved families could make, and we ended up meeting this afternoon along with my husband, another couple, 2 mothers, and a father, along with the teacher and principal. We all presented a united front asking for the following. The school does training for the teachers on trauma-informed teaching methods and the dangers of expecting young women to go against their best judgment of their own boundaries to be nice. Instead of include everyone, the kids should be allowed to respectfully set boundaries and taught to respect each other's boundaries. The school addresses harassment in class or at recess and doesn't enable it to continue. We went to talk, and I think it went a lot better having all the parents join instead of if I'd gone alone. The teacher and principal apologized and the principal agreed to look for resources on how to better navigate the balance between being inclusive and not forcing kids into including someone who is crossing a line with them. Thanks a lot for all the amazing advice in the comments. I cannot believe how much this blew up, and I'm so grateful to everyone who replied with advice and support. And honestly was getting pretty emotional hearing how the lessons I'm trying to teach my little one resonated with other women, whether they're moms too, or have been through some of the same struggles I have. Me, 29M, and my wife, 30F, have a little girl, 8F, who I'll be calling Anna. Now, Anna has very thick, blonde and curly hair that my wife adores. Ever since she was a toddler, she'd spend hours doing her hair every day, braiding it, straightening it and styling it in all sorts of ways. Our bathroom cabinets are always filled to the brim with a bunch of hair lotions, oils, creams and other fancy products I don't even know the names of. So I think it's more than fair to say that my wife's a bit obsessed with the whole hair thing. Anna, however, has never been too fond of getting her hair done, or of anything that involves having to sit still for more than a few minutes. Before she got it cut, her hair used to reach past her waist. And while it looked lovely, she hated getting it brushed, and every morning used to be a screaming fest between her and my wife. Lately, she'd been begging for a shorter haircut. My wife ignored her whenever the topic was brought up in hopes that she'd forget about it, but none of that ended up happening. I think Hannah realized she was getting nowhere with her mom, because she started asking me to take her instead. I was reluctant to at first because I didn't know how my wife would react, but I agreed when I saw just how excited the kid was over something as simple as a haircut. So yesterday I drove her to the hairdresser, where she got to flip through a lot of magazines and pick a picture of a haircut. And when she chose a really short clipper cut, I knew I was gonna be in deep shit with my wife. At that point though, there was no turning back. I mean, what could I have really done? Told her that no, she can't get the haircut she was so over the moon about, all because her mom wouldn't like it? I couldn't do that. So we went ahead with the haircut, and by the end of it Anna couldn't stop smiling. She went around the salon showing it off to everyone and even asked me to take a bunch of pictures even though she normally hates having pictures taken of her. We did get one rude comment from an older woman at the salon, something along the lines of "You can't even tell if she's a boy or a girl now," but Anna was way too excited about her hair to notice, and if she did notice she didn't care. When my wife got home from work that day though, things quickly took a turn for the worse. She refused to even look at Anna, locked herself in her room and cried, then got in the car and drove off. It's been a day now and she's still not back. It's honestly starting to worry me. I knew she wouldn't react well to the haircut, but I wasn't expecting her to take it this badly. The kid's upset too, and no matter how much I reassure her she still thinks she's in trouble for getting her hair cut. Ada? I realize how attached my wife was to Anna's hair, but at the end of the day I still think it's just hair. The kid's old enough to decide these things for herself and she was really happy with the haircut, so I don't think I did something wrong here. I, 45F, am currently divorced from my ex Thomas, 47 meters, of 30 years. We ended up seeing a lawyer to help with dividing stuff. Everything was pretty much wrapped up till he said he no longer wanted any part of our kids' lives, 5 meters, and 12F. I didn't argue with him about it since I already know what it's like having a parent who doesn't want you around or wants to be in your life. I asked what he wanted me to tell the kids and he just said, whatever you think is best, I don't care. I don't want to parent anymore. Everything was in agreement and signed with no fuss. A few weeks later I get a call from my ex-mill asking if we could meet each other. When I came over she broke down crying and begging to let my ex see his kids again. I was confused about what she meant because not once did he contact me after meeting the lawyer. She went on about how my ex said he really missed them and that I was just a petty BTCH for taking full custody. Also that he was crying for days about it. I told her my version of events and she called it BS, saying her son wouldn't lie like that, especially not about his kids. Then I decided to call him in front of her. He didn't know she and I were meeting that day. I said, hey, 5 meters, has a soccer game in a few days, which he did, and I was wondering if you wanted to go. I know he'd really love it and be happy to see you. He instantly said no. I already said I'm not doing this anymore. I raised my voice a bit saying, well, what about holidays and birthdays, because we never discussed any of it and your family might want to see them. He just said my family already thinks the kids aren't mine anyways, so it doesn't matter. I asked, well, how do you think this is going to affect Denise, his mom? She is over the moon about them. He just said she loves me more than the kids, so I doubt this will be an issue for her. After a bit more talking we finally hung up. Ex-mill was straight-faced and nodded at everything that just happened, saying okay. She asked me to leave and said we would be in touch. Later that day I got a call from my ex saying how it's my fault he was kicked out of his mom's house and possibly will be taken off her will. Also that none of his family members will talk to him because of what ex-mill heard. He threw a lot of insults at me before I hung up, and now him and his mates keep calling and texting me. My friend is saying I shouldn't have said anything in the first place and I ruined his life. Addition, hello, thank you for your support and the gold reward. Yes, I plan to let Denise see the kids because I know she just wants to give them the world along with the rest of his family. I was honestly confused with what op meant at first and my daughter told me overpowered like an anime, but my sister clarified. Second edition, hello again, I want to address something because this keeps coming up and I can't keep up with everyone. Due to actions he and I took when we were younger, my Christian parents thought it would be best he and I be married at the time.